to Your Wealthy Self with me, Regina Martinelli. This show is about money and a whole lot more. Here we focus on you being able to expand your capacity for money, success, abundance, and inner wealth. For you to have what's most important to you inside and out so you can be your wealthy self. It's really about honoring your wholeness, that you are enough just as you are to have what's most important to you. Whatever is important to you, the freedom to have more success and money without guilt, or maybe it's the ease in being unapologetically you, or more certainty in your sense of purpose, you're feeling daily joy and fulfillment within. Whatever that is, whatever is most important to you, whatever makes you feel like you're wealthy inside and out, you can have, and you can create it without struggle. That's where we stand in this show. And you can do it with certainty and ease. Today, we are so lucky to have a special guest. And she's also a very dear friend of mine, Emmy Nevis. She is the spiritual midwife. She's incredible at helping you heal, celebrate, and reclaim the truth of who you are. Emmy does all of this by weaving together the threads of your own experiences as a woman on this planet with the divine feminine. It's deep, deep work. And I wanted her as a guest on the show because I have participated in her anointing work, her priestess anointing work. And it has made a difference in me being able to open up to my femininity more deeply in supporting me creating my wealthy self. And I share that because there has been so many years and decades of myself working and striving in this world with my masculinity and my adrenals and, doing basically it the masculine way, that my femininity has been put on the back shelf. And working with Emmy has helped me open that up and reclaim it and heal it in some incredibly beautiful ways. So Emmy, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for the incredible introduction.
So I have so much I want to chat with you about, and the conversation will go where it goes, and we'll have as much time as we have, and there will be more. I know there will be more. So one thing I would love to do, because I can't really do your work justice, but give us kind of a snippet of what inspired you to come up along this path and to create the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for that question. There's one word that you had said was threads, and there are so many threads of our lives. We don't arrive to where we are in this single moment because of a single event, right? It's many threads that have led us to have these conversations, to even be watching this show. And, my work, I feel like I birthed my work through really 3 different avenues. The first avenue was my deep connection to plants, plant medicine, and really in more of a modern day sense with sense. So just loving essential oils and just having this piqued curiosity of how this could help me emotionally. How could I use this to replace things in my life? How could I use it as medicine, for cuts and burns and whatever. So there was that thread, that was really started over 10 years ago through, my own physical illnesses. And I want to talk about this in a very conventional sense, because that's really where, doctors within Western medicine, they couldn't quite help me with certain things. So then I just was really curious about natural ways of using medicine. Then the second thread that's really important here, and to be as concise as possible, is the thread of the cycle of life. So meaning we're born, we go through this transition of growth, we die, and there's this cycle that happens there where there's this rebirth in the death. So kind of like the death birth cycle. And it's important because, of course, that's what happens. Those are kind of the bookmarks of life, or the bookends of life, right? Birth and death. But then we go through these cycles at many times within our life, right? These being born as a child, we experience this childhood, and then we go through adolescence, or we go through adolescence, and that kind of acts as like the bookend to childhood and the beginning, the birth of adolescence and becoming into our adult self, right? And kind of like these different cycles, right? And so what I found, and in particular when I really kind of birthed into my work, was that moment of being the modern day woman living in San Francisco, living my best life possible, having my education, having my thriving career, and all of a sudden that coming to a really abrupt end that I didn't really quite realize at all, which was the point of kind of the end of my maiden self or my single self, and then into a mother. And that was really pivotal, which I'll come back to in a moment. And then the third part of it that kind of like wove all of these other, like really braided all of these other pieces together. And it's just funny because I was really, my mind wanted to go to, okay, what's the profound thing that happened? And actually, there wasn't this big, profound thing. Like when I really got still and really just began to listen, what was so simple and clear to me was just being curious and following my heart. And, I think like, I guess early 2000s, Marie Kondo was real famous, right? She's still really famous. So for those of you that are hearing about her for the first time, she's kind of like the guru when it comes to organizing and cleaning out your life. And like the philosophy to her, I feel like her whole program and everything she has to offer is surrounding yourself physically with things that bring you joy. And so I had one of my spiritual teachers, really I don't want to say challenge me, but just just gave me the little nugget to chew on of like simply following my joy. And we've heard this 1,000 different ways.
Yes.
Following the path of love, following your heart, what lights you up. Like there's so many different ways of saying this, but I was really in this pivotal moment of kind of stepping into this new part of my life. And what's really important about this is that I didn't have the 10,000 view then to where I am now, but it was that deep devotion of just following that one curiosity and that one clear as a blade truth of like my interests, that I followed that step, and then I took another, and then I took another step of all of these truths. It really evolved into braiding in all these other pieces to the work I do now. And I say that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, finish your last statement. Then I want to ask you a question.
Yeah. And I guess I say that because, if you're watching this or just interested in like, what's next for you, is it our own personal truth, our own personal power path isn't elusive. It's not trying to hide from us. It's not, we don't have to keep digging deep. It's really just right in front of us. But the clarity of choosing to step into that and just trusting that is like the beauty of like what's really possible, and hence what's been really possible for me in this space that I'm in now. So.
That's fabulous. Thank you. So what I want to ask, where my curiosity goes for some of our audience who, like, you seem very clear about your curiosity and what the truth was for you. What if someone has all these curiosities and they don't really know which one is their truth? Like it's probably gotten muddled from other things, whether it's conditioning or society or doubts or, lack of self confidence. How do you start to find it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's why like before, and I'd be interested to see the recording, because like, what did I say first as far as like, did I talk about following your heart first or truth? And why I want to kind of make that distinction is it following your truth, or what is your divine purpose? What's your purpose? Those can feel so loaded and so like, oh my gosh, like I have to land on something. And why I say that is like the playfulness of fall, like the frequency is a playfulness. And it's one of those things that like pulls you out of your chair where you don't need to think twice. Just kind of like hearing that amazing song that's like you just jump up and you start listening. Like your intro, I was like, yes, like it just pulls you. So the sensation, and it's such a great question because it's been asked before in other contexts, and how I've spoken about it is about how to use your body as a pendulum. And so when you have all of these things, and again, if you're like very new to this work and you're like, wait, what is a pendulum? Just thinking about like, there's all these things that spark your interest, right? Like, and usually we're so in the mind, but like, what's the one thing that you go to? Like the first thought, what's the first thought that you keep going to?
Like, you mean like something that brings me play or joy?
Yeah, just like when you think of all the things you want to do, like what's the first one that pings you?
Like right now, I mean, I love what I do, but there's a thing of like, I want to dance and play. And then I love coaching people, right? I love getting in it with them. Like curious where their perspectives got built and the filters got put in.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's it right there. Like do that.
Yeah.
And then like let go, allow the mind to like let go of the 10,000 view of what that means. Like where
Right.
that dance is going to take you. Where is that coaching going to take you? Because once you do that thing and you stay in devotion to that one thing, like I promise, the next thing will appear.
Yes. And you're so right. A lot of times we don't trust and we get caught up in our own fears and scarcity beliefs and patterns,
Mhm.
whatever those are, that start to come up about, oh, but I need this coaching. I need this curiosity of where I'm going. I need to pay for my life. I need to give me lifestyle. I need to do this, and
Mhm.
this. We start layering all this heaviness, all this conditioning on it, which
Mhm.
actually has it suffocate. And then it's harder and harder to find. Would you agree, disagree?
Exactly. 100%. And it's not only like suffocates the thing, but we start talking ourselves out of it. Oh, it can't be that simple. And it just really is that simple. And I feel like, especially when you're in the situation where like you're lost in confusion, you don't know, which is totally okay to like not know. But when the heaviness is so much that it's so paralyzing, so, and like you're at that point that maybe the next right thing is just literally going outside in the sunshine, or just like making a cup of tea, like just those simple things. And especially, coming into this work, our truth can feel really wobbly. Our confidence in ourselves can feel really wobbly. Hence the confusion and like the mind wanting to have a heyday and take everything on a roller coaster. A lot of self-doubt. I mean, coming, when at the very basics, like you could be really struggling on the edge of mental illness, depression, all these different things. And so when I say it can really just be that simple, like it's got to be that simple, especially in the beginning. And even now, like I'm here, have a program and I'm doing all these things, and I still need to have it that simple because it really cuts the noise of like, what's the next inspired action?
Yeah.
And I say this because, you know, being creating a deeper relationship with ourselves and creating more of a spiritual relationship with ourselves, when we listen to that little ping inside of us, it's like, just go outside and get some sunshine. Go get a cup of tea, a warm cup of tea, clear the plate and just lay in bed. Like giving yourself permission to like really treat yourself. That trust builds. Even though it might be just a little bit, like the trust builds to listen again. The confidence builds to know that, hey, I've got this. And your intuition is right there too. Like you're strengthening that intuition muscle. So it's like, if you're really struggling and you just listen to those things, like you are absolutely activating those muscles to trusting yourself, to confidence, and trusting your intuition.
I love that. I love that. It's so great. It's like the simple steps where you said, even if it's just go get out in the sunshine or go get a cup of tea, because it's also, there's a way that you're engaging that is not charged or doesn't have a lot of expectation on it when you just go out to be in the sunshine. And then it allows you to relax and open up, right? Yeah. And then more can come in, more inspiration, more thought. And it doesn't have to come in that moment. It's just allowing the vessel to open.
Exactly. That's all it's doing. And that's the thing that's great is like working with the energetics. It's like, it's that simple. And it's like, it's going to attune to what we're able to call in. And sometimes that is just sitting in the sunshine. That physical movement, again, like you said, to open the vessel, to be able to energetically move what's going on in our space, to allow for something new. Even if it's really comforting and familiar in a lot of ways. But the thing is, like, the last thing is like the importance is this very intentional yet simple yes to ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. And saying yes. So that makes me wonder, because so many times I run into women who can't say yes, or they've shut down, they don't know how to say yes. Where do you feel our modern culture, or even years of our society, has what is like the big lie that disempowers women around this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is, and I know that this can be like very controversial, and it's like, where I think it really begins is just, it begins with this self-abandonment that is chipped away at us in small ways. And then I think like as we get older, it can really turn into bigger ways. And this doesn't happen for everyone. However, I feel like when we are, and you can help me work through this too, is it when we are looking to external validation and relying on that 100% to give us information about how we want to live our lives. So for example, and motherhood is just a huge one for me. And again, I know that this can be kind of like edgy here. Relying on the research and the studies when it comes to, all the tools that you need, like when you're, and like how to be with your baby, and I want to actually restate that, what to do with your baby, like what to do with your baby, not how to be with your baby, because all of the research and all of these quote unquote claims, and if there isn't the research or the claims that says don't do that, right? So like relying so much on these really amazing devices. And I know that a lot of the research can also be woven into marketing, right? Like you need the certain crib that's going to shake and rock so that your baby can sleep solidly. You need this device so that you always know how much oxygen is coming into their body and all this and that. And I want to say, this is why I want to be careful here, is it's not that those are bad or there's anything wrong with it. I mean, there's amazing things that come with having these tools, and they're really necessary in certain moments and times. However, when you're self-abandoning yourself so much that you don't even trust what you think you might know, or even the fact that we don't have this narrative of like, hey, as part of becoming a mom, like, what do you think? Like, what is your body saying? Like, what is that knowingness in your gut, in your heart, like wherever it is that you feel like you feel things from? Like, what is that saying? Is there discomfort in this information? Is there anxiety coming up with this information? Like, why? There isn't this conversation that I think is really important. So then you can take the wisdom of your own body, of what your self authority might be saying, and then using these, like weaving what's out there plus weaving in what your own self wisdom is. Like, we don't have a narrative for this at all. So I feel like that's where the self-abandonment is, because you can be like, oh, check off the boxes. I'm, using the sleep timers. I'm using the crib. I'm using the, heart thing. And why aren't they sleeping? Why aren't they comforted? And so yeah, I just feel like it's so important, again, to weave both of those pieces together to make the most informed decisions for you and for your family.
Thank you. It's another place to practice that knowing, right? Stepping into that knowing and that curiosity and stepping forward and taking those small steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be curious, because you do such incredible work with mothers, also with priestesses and anointing priests, and as a spiritual midwife, which I like to call you. Is there anything about your work that you love to talk about that people don't really ask you, or you don't get to share as often, that you'd like to chat about?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, I think why do I use plants in this? I think that would be kind of a good one to weave in here too. And so what I really, really love, why I love to use plants, because as a spiritual midwife in my priestessing, it's really about this deep invitation into your own sovereign truth. Like, that is what I have to offer. That is the gift. And as a guide, because you already are those things, you already have those things. And what can we do to clear out the noise, the confusion, so that truth, that alignment, that resonance of, our consciousness to our subconscious can really attune, so that we're able to tap into the super conscious and wealth and money and all the the amazing things that are so available to us. And so why do I use plants in this? Where is it? It isn't this really random thing. And what I really love about working with plant medicine, and none of them, they're all different types of plants, like flowers and trees, and so they have no hallucinogenic effects whatsoever. But I'll use a rose and a lavender for example, is that a rose may completely desire to be a lavender may completely desire to be a rose, but it will never be a rose. It will always be the truest essence of itself, which is a lavender. And so what I love about using these different plants, and each plant has such a unique fingerprint, just as unique as our own personal fingerprint. Okay. And so when we're using this beautiful symphony of all of these oils that have all of these different spiritual and emotional resonances, they really help to attune the body to your own clearest resonance.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is so incredible. I would so love to chat with you more. Unfortunately, our time we're at the end of our show.
Oh my gosh.
I know. You got something in today's show. Please share it. Let's spread the joy. There's enough here. Let's help heal the world. And you can see Emmy's website here in the caption, emmynevis.com. Please go and check out her website, her priestessing, and her, what do you call it, the mantras? How do you?
Oh, what's that?
You have two different pages on your website. One's like the mantras, and one is the.
I'm not saying the matrescence. So the matrescence. Sorry, somebody did not. Yeah, it's the sacred matrescence, which is the journey through maiden to motherhood. And then I have my second page is all about my anointing work. Who is the anointing priestess? Like, that's a question. And just a little bit more about, just the plants and the arc of experience I take through people. So
yes, so let's all check that out. And we're so happy you joined us today. Thank you so much, Emmy. So wonderful to have you.
Thank